Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I want to talk about 5 features in Black Desert that a lot of people don't use and I think would help overall for your day-to-day. And there's a lot of settings in Black Desert, and I have a video talking about all my settings, my UI, how to improve your FPS and all that stuff. I'll leave a link in the description. But here are some things that are kind of hidden and people won't really find it unless you go out of your way. So let me show you and let's talk about it. So I wrote a list of 5 things that help me on the daily and I guess on the weekly as well that would probably help you, especially if you're a beginner or just, looking to try new things. So number 1, as we all know, Black Desert is mostly a solo game, and you guys are probably out there doing whatever you're doing by yourself. And the first thing is, if you're trying to find a group for whatever, there's a thing called Party and Platoon Finder, or like Find Party / Platoon. And you could search it up in your text box here. I have it pinned. And this thing allows you to basically party find whatever you're doing. It's good for bosses, if you're trying to find like a dungeon group and everything, and or Black Shrine bosses, Olin's group, anything that has a party involved, right? Merking, whatever. So this kind of thing I see quite often. People are like, oh, I can't find a group and I wish they had a group finder. This is literally it. The reason why there's not too many is I don't think people actually know this exists that much. So it's like, if you found it, it's like you found a secret thing. So I hope in the future that people actually start using this, and then that way you guys can get clears of whatever you're doing. Let's say you just want to do bosses. You want to find a platoon for Vel every week. So here's how it works. Basically, if you want to host it, you post an ad and you type whatever you want to do. Like, let's say you want to do weekly bosses or, Vel. And then you could create a platoon for 5 to 20 members. 5 is, usually a grind party. Platoon is for guild stuff. I still have no idea why this is such a stupid thing. If you type 1, what is that even? What is the point of that? So I'm probably going to send this video to Pearl Abyss at some point and be like, hey, look, this is feedback on things that I think are neat features in the game, but should also be improved. So anyway, they could copy things like Final Fantasy. You know how if you've ever played that game, they have a group finder and there's a lot more options into it. So like, for example, if you want to do Atoraxxion dungeons, right? Or you want to do Black Shrine bosses, they could have another setting over here and be like, here, you have a clear of this one. Check that. And then I know there's no way to actually check it, but it's like, hey, you should have a clear already or know what you're doing, or at least make the max characters in here more than 30 things so you can actually write more. So either way, it's something that people don't know about, and I think it's a good thing to actually use. So this is what it's called, Find Party and Platoon. Start posting things. Maybe you'll get a group and actually get more stuff done throughout the week. So while we're on this, number 2, we're going to talk about the Atoraxxion dungeons. And this is also something I've been hearing that people don't know exists. And people are like, oh, I want to do the dungeons, but I can't find the group. So what it's called is the Atoraxxion Party Matching. And the feedback I would give this one is, right now, it's only for normal difficulty. So basically, if you are trying to do the Atoraxxion dungeons, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, you could party find it, and it's kind of like a separate thing from the party finder, but this one's for dungeons. People use the other one as well for like hard modes, but that's one thing I want to give feedback on, is add the hard mode difficulty to this one. So as we all know, people are getting more gear every single day, and they should just have a tab, be like, here, do you want to do it on normal mode, and then do you want to do it on hard mode? And then I think that would be fine. So that's about it. So if you want to do the dungeons or you want to start learning them, this is how. Just find the Atoraxxion Party Matching and start doing the dungeons. I do believe you have to do the story first, at least, to unlock them. And so you might want to actually do the solo story, and then if you want to do the 5-man part of it and get your weekly rewards, That's how you do it, as well as if you want to do the Atoraxxion stuff and get your weeklies, those are always cool stuff. So yeah, that's a neat feature. The next thing I want to talk about that, you know, I like in the game, but I don't think people use it a lot, is called the Notepad. So as we all know, this thing is, you know, just a built-in notepad in the game. And I honestly think this is more for console players more than PC, because for all of us on PC, we literally just tab out and then, you know, we could write stuff down. But I think this is also helpful for people who are on console or have one monitor instead of like 2 or plus. So we can actually just keep notes on screen, and then it's helpful. So I've been using this for over 5 years. Remember back in the day, if you've been watching my videos, these were my goals back in 2020, going for C9 gear and all that stuff. Man, time has changed. Pen accessories. Yeah. And then, but other features I use it for are like learning new classes and combos. I know they have a like skill thingy in game, but I'm convinced that one is not even really updated. Like the official thing is not as good. So if you watch a YouTuber or a streamer that's very good at their class, then you might learn something and then just write it down. So back in 2023, when I was learning Wusa for the first time, basically I wrote this down here. So here's how it works. You click it, and then, oh, that's like not transparent. There's a lot of settings for this. So for example, you can write stuff down, your combo, and then if you want to pin it on your screen, but not have this huge thing over here, you can make it transparent. So it's like you still see the combo and everything. You can move this and make it bigger or smaller as you want to. You can adjust the size, and so you can make it less, you know, obvious when you're grinding. So that's one thing I did, and you could do that too. But aside from that, other features that you could use it on are literally anything else but things I did. In my recent videos, we talked about black stars and the cost of enhancing them. So if you want to watch that video, I'll leave a link in the description. You know, we talked about the entire doing the math of everything. And so, yeah, that was a fun video. Same with if you are a new player and looking to gear up on a budget, we talked about all this stuff as well. I'll leave that video in the description as well if you care. But yeah, Notepad, you should use it. However, with that said, I think it's more for console players and people with like one monitor. So either way, just a nice feature, but people don't use it as often. The next thing I want to talk about is stuff that you could do on your world map. So as we all know, there's a lot of stuff to do. And first of all, let's talk about moving your camera around. So when I see new players, let's say you want to go to, I don't know, let's look at Land in the Morning Light, but you're in Heidel, so your camera looks like this. One mistake that I see people doing a lot is they just drag their camera. So like, for example, we're going to Morning Light. This is what other people do. They drag their camera over there, and then sure, you can do that. It functionally does the same thing. But one thing you could do, I'm going to teach you two things. So first of all, you could click the city over here. Instead of like dragging your camera, just click it and do that, and it takes you there. The second thing you could do is you could save a preset. So for example, once again, we want to be, let's say out in the ocean or whatever. So let's find a spot on the map. Let's say we want to, I don't know, I'm trying to pick a spot on the map randomly. All right, let's say we want to make our camera go over here, right? So what you would do, I don't know what it is on console, unfortunately, but here on PC, you would hit Alt and then a number. So like, for example, Alt 1. So it saves your location, right? And then let's say you're back in Heidel, right? If you want to look at that exact spot, you would do that, and then you hit that. So it saves your camera ping, and it's nice. Ooh, what is that? We got a prize in here. What's that? Oh. Anyway, so Alt on PC, Alt, and then like a number, and then it saves your current location to wherever your camera is looking. And then if you click anywhere else on here, then you could do that. And if we want to, let's say over here, we could save this. So for example, Alt 1 and then Alt 2, and you can go 1, 2, and then you could save as many as you want. So yeah, you could save presets right over it, and then just, yeah, it's hot moving just based on important things you want to see. A lot of people don't know that, but this is what you could do as well, especially if you're doing any node wars and stuff. You just hold down shift and it gives you a bunch of options. That alt plus thingy at the bottom, that's a different feature than what I just told you. So yeah, moving your camera around is as easy as alt plus number, or literally any other key, I believe. I think it's number keys. And then it'll basically take a screenshot of where you're at on the map, or not where you're at, but where your camera is facing. And then, so over here, saves that. And then we're at Grana. We took a picture over here. And then if we want to go here, we'll save it on 3. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Easy, right? Now you know. That's a feature people didn't know, and I've learned that a couple of years ago too. So yeah, it's really nice. And even if you do that, it still saves, even if you close your map again. So yeah, it's good to know. You should do that more often. Save you time. And the next thing on the map that people don't really know, this is more for horse training, and I see people doing like some weird auto paths. And so here's what I'd recommend to you. First of all, you see how this is your normal auto path, right? You click wherever you want to go. And then people don't really do this one. Some people do it. If you do any sort of horse training, you want to set it on a loop, right? And the best place you could do is to set your loop is try to pick a flat area. Like if you're trying to pick some weird terrain like that one, I would try to avoid things with too many loops. But if you're trying to horse train, just try to pick something with the least amount of curves and everything. So yeah, this would be good, for example. Or what I see people doing in town is, you know how the Heidel thing goes down and then curves, right? I see people doing the L thingy in town, but realistically, just try to find that and then hit the loop. And then what you should do if you're planning on horse training is watch the loop go from point A to B, and then make sure it doesn't get stuck on anything before you go AFK. But yeah, if it's green, it means it's looping, and if it's blue, it just means it goes from point A to B, and that's it. So if you want to go AFK training, make sure to set it on the loop, and then it's green, then you're good to go. The next thing I want to talk about is quick hotkeys. This thing right here is something that I wish was more obvious, and this thing for people who want to, like, none of these are set by default, but if you want to turn your aggress on or, you know, off, it's something that, you know, when you grind for an hour, there's like 15 different things you have to do. For example, like when you're doing your hour of grind, you're like, okay, I gotta turn on my alchemy stone, then I gotta turn on my thingy, the fairy if I'm doing that, aggress, and then I gotta manually pop whatever buffs if you don't have the fairy. Make sure you have everything else, install your camp, get your buffs. So yeah, there's a quick hotkey setting. People don't use it. I see people popping these buttons manually every time. You literally just set your things on a key, and then half of the important things you want to use are actually right here. So installing your tent is probably one of the most important things, especially because it's so stupid how everyone is paying like, what, $40 for a tent, and then you can't install it on an inclined area. We've all seen that message. Yeah, so you, instead of having to click this button every time, you just want to, you're still going to get it, by the way, but it's like you're clicking this. It's not as bad when you're hitting a hotkey instead of opening this menu every time. So things I would recommend, aggress and then campsite. Everything else is, you know, it's whatever. You don't really recharge your alch stone in the middle of a grind, so like, who cares? Transfusion. You could do all this in town. But if you're about to start an hour and you want to get the maximum amount of time on your buff, tents are good. And then I guess you could do aggress before, but it's like, the important thing is probably at least campsite, and then maybe maids if you care, but like realistically, I don't, sometimes I don't grind enough to, or like grind to spots where weight is too much of an issue, and I've talked about different ways to get around it. But also, yeah, so quick hotkeys, that's definitely a thing to mess around with if you've never heard of it before. It's wild because you would think that this would be like right here as well, but it's not. These are literally two different things, and it's like, just put that option in the official settings. So yeah, quick hotkeys, make sure to set some of these up. And then, you know, I realistically don't think most people will use too many of them, but there's a lot of settings that people don't know about. So hopefully those 5 tips helped you guys. I think the most interesting one that people didn't really know about is the map one, realistically. And it's fun to actually play around with that. So yeah, aside from that, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you come back. And we got a bunch of stuff coming up in the near future. So I'll see you later. Peace.